welcome to another episode of the Woollentwine Fibrestudio knitting podcast. My name is Jule and I'm the dyer and maker behind Woollentwine Fibrestudio, which is a small creative space located here in northern Germany where I play with natural dyes and natural yarns. Today is a special video all about the next yarn collection that we will be launching. And apparently this one is the last big collection of this year. So we're going to feature a couple of festive things, even though it might feel a little bit strange to plan on festive things already. But I think it's time and I can't wait to share what we prepared for you. It's a bit of a weird timing this time because as you are seeing this, I should be, if things go to plan, at Barcelona for the Barcelona Knits Festival that I will be attending just as a visitor. I'm not vending or anything, but I'm going to be there as a visitor, and I hope everything will go smoothly anyways, because things have been kind of crazy the last couple of days, but I will update you on that in a dedicated podcast episode. For now, let me share a couple of yarny things with you. If I sound a little bit raspy or weird, that is because I'm pretty sick still from the cold that I caught. It really got really nasty over the past couple of weeks, or let's say 2 weeks, and it's taking so long to heal, and I'm really, I'm really done with it, and I hope it's gonna be fine now. I'm on medication and I should be good now, but it was a really lasting one. So, but no more complaints for now. For this slightly more festive update, we've prepared a couple of special colorways, a few little goodies and specials, and also a kit option, which is something we very rarely do. But this time I was really inspired by the pattern, and I'm going to tell you a bit more about it later. But for now, I guess let me jump right into telling you what bases we'll have available. So for this collection, we will have mainly 3 bases available. One of them being Ovis sock, our natural non-superwash and plastic-free custom spun sock yarn that is a blend of Cheviot and Jacob sheep at 50-50% blend, and is a 375 meters per 100 grams, so slightly thicker than your traditional sock yarn would be. Ooh, I'm holding a colorway up here. So yeah, Ovis sock is going to be in the shop update with a couple of festive colorways as well as some sock sets. Because last time I had these, you were really excited about them, and I really hope that you're going to love them as much this time, because I really like them this time. But yeah, Ovis sock is going to come. Then we'll have BFM masham in the 4-ply and the DK base, and this is going to be the last restock of this base for quite a while, because I've used up the stock I had, and I have a lot of new bases coming in the next couple of months. So I guess until this one comes back, it's going to take a while, because we will focus on a couple of other blends that will come in the early next year. And so this is the chance to grab BFM masham for now. Because it's going on a little bit of a hiatus for now. Yeah, so those are the bases that we're going to restock, and then we have a little special all around our unspun yarn Thrive, and we have the last skeins or plates of this one in the shop currently, and so I would recommend considering if the special sounds like something you enjoy, to not wait too long, because once this is gone, it's gone. And I want to address something regarding Thrive in a dedicated podcast episode at a later date. But yeah, it's going to take a little bit of explanation, but it might be that we're not going to have a restock anytime soon of this unspun yarn base. So now's kind of the last chance. I don't want to say the last, but let me explain that in a dedicated episode. By the way, there's someone blowing leaves all the time outside whenever I try to record something, and he's taking ages to blow like leaves off the smallest place, and I don't understand. So in case you're hearing any weird noises, I'll try to do the best at isolating my voice so you're not really bothered by it, but I can't guarantee that you cannot hear this incredibly loud sounds. But yeah, I guess without further ado, let me share when this collection is going to be live. It's going to launch on Friday, the 24th of November at 8 p.m. CET, as always, same time as always. And as said, this is going to be the last collection of this year. We are taking the opportunity of having December as kind of the crazy shipping month where things are delayed anyways. We're taking that opportunity to kind of reset and wind down because the season was intense, and there won't be any shop update in December. I might do a couple of specials for our newsletter subscribers and bits and bobs here and there about videos and such, but shop update wise, this is going to be the last one of the year. And then we will keep the shop open and start shipping, and at some point we will close the shipping as soon as we notice that there's going to be, little chance that things will be arriving in time before the holidays. But until then, the shop will just remain open. We will just not have any additional shop updates in December anymore. So just a little admin info here. About shipping, I should maybe already mention whatever is coming in this episode. I'm going to briefly go over it in the admin section at the end as well. But we will try to prioritize overseas orders after this shop update to process them as quickly as we can, because according to Postal Delivery Service and DHL, I got the info that we are supposed to be delivering parcels by the 28th of November to have them guaranteed arrival in overseas destinations before the holidays. So we will prioritize overseas orders, and domestic will be processed after. I hope you understand. I mean, it feels a bit unfair, right? But we all want our holiday goodies to arrive in time. But yeah, let me touch on that a little bit later again. First of all, let me finally jump right in and show you the colorways. Okay, starting out with our BFM masham bases. This is going to be a bit of a tricky one because I usually try, or I did it this time as well. I usually try to dye the same colorways on the BFM masham DK and the 4-ply base, just so you can choose between yarn weights and such. But this time I failed with one colorway. I'm gonna tell you which one it is, but it's gonna be all these colorways that I'm showing you, except one, is going to be available on both BFM masham bases. As a quick recap, BFM masham is a 75% BFL and 25% mid-brown masham blend that we have available in 2 yarn weights. So a 4-ply fingering weight with 400 meters per 100 grams. And a 240 meters per 100 grams DK weight version. I have everything linked on my base page that I will put somewhere, where you can see all infos about the bases. And I actually also curated a little list of patterns for at least the BFM masham DK by now. I didn't manage to put it for every base yet, but I'm experimenting with pattern suggestions through Ravelry bundles, because what I didn't really enjoy is to put patterns out, or pattern suggestions, and having to, if I want something else or I run across something that I really like, I want to add it to a list, but I don't want to take things out, and I kind of want everything in one place that I can, access a list, but I still don't have to take anything out or, delete things or do it manually. So I decided to experiment how it works if I put like a bundle in my favorites on Ravelry, where I name the bundle BFM masham, for example, and then just add a couple of patterns so you can have direct access to the ones that I think would fit the base very well. I think we have to try and get the lighting situation sorted here. But yeah, let me know what you think of this, because it enables me to just add patterns to this library kind of, and have a constant library that I can just link with one link and just send it to someone in case you need a couple of inspirational yeah, just pattern infos or something. So let me know what you think of that. I'm going to link that list as well somewhere, and also down below, so you can check in case you're curious on what you can knit with this yarn base. But without further ado, let me start showing you the colorways. I'm going to show them on BFM Masham DK, but they will also be available on BFM Masham 4-ply. So first of all, we're going to have a restock of our colorway Auburn, which is a deep brown, reddish purple kind of tone. And last time we had this for the October collection, and it went really well. Like, it flew off the shelves, and I know a couple of you were requesting this colorway to be restocked, and so I'm bringing it back for this collection. Next up, we'll have a restock of our chestnut colorway, which is a warm, cozy brown with some reddish undertones that I think is really pretty and also kind of festive, if you ask me. So yeah, chestnut and auburn are going to be restocked. Then we'll have a restock, and this is the critical kind of colorway. This is another restock, and this is our colorway Maple Leaf. And I somehow messed up the dye recipe and didn't manage to dye it on the 4-ply base. So this is the colorway that's only available on the DK base, because I apparently did not pay attention and unfortunately don't have any more stock currently at hand, so I could not re-dye it or anything. So yeah, this is only going to be available on BFM Masham DK. So, and then next up, we will have some more colorways. This one is a colorway that we used to have on our ovis sock base, and it is called Woodlands. And it's kind of a reddish undertoned brown with a little bit of variegation throughout, which I personally really like because it gives a lot of life to the colorway. So yeah, this is Woodlands. And then we'll have two new colorways, one of them being this year's, let's say, festive interpretation of colorways, because we used to have a very, festive kind of special colorway called Crimson. And this time I wanted to not only just restock this one as our festive colorway, but, have something new. But before I show you that one, I will show you this new one, and it's called Peony, and this one is a dusty, muted, warm pink. And I know it's not really the season for peonies right now, but it reminded me of those so much, and they are the favorite flower of my mom, and I also really, really love them. So I kind of had the urge to call it this way. So this one is Peony. And last but not least, our kind of this year's festive colorway, and this one is Poinsettia, and it's a warm, rusty, but very rich red. I hope the camera picks up the richness of it properly, but I think it does, yeah. So yeah, this is Poinsettia because it really reminds me of, I don't know if you have them where you live, but we have those usually in white and red, and I have not ever loved them as much to have them at my home because, I don't know, they are not really so much my thing, but my partner is very much into them. It has a tradition for him, and he buys one every year, and we never keep it alive, to be honest. But yeah, this reminds me of the red petals of the poinsettia flower, so that's why it's called Poinsettia. And this already is the whole collection, and I'll try to kind of hold it up for you so you can see it all kind of together. So from this side to this side. Don't ask me which is which because I'm really bad with this kind of imagining how the camera is going to turn it around. But we have auburn, woodlands, chestnut, maple leaf, peony, and poinsettia. I hope it helps to see them kind of all together. I'm sorry if it's a bit messy how I hold them up, but doing my very best. And just as a reminder, this is what's going to be available on the four-ply version as well because of my little mistake. So yeah, this is what we'll have on BFM Masham. I love this space dearly, and I really hope you're gonna love the colorways just as much as I do. I think it's actually a really seasonally appropriate palette, and I really enjoy the shades that we made this time. So yeah, we're gonna have all of these available, and I hope you're gonna be excited to knit yourself potentially like a festive holiday sweater or just get something for your holiday cast on. Do you do holiday cast ons? I don't know. I love to do it, so I always assume everybody does. But yeah, so far about the BFM Masham bases, let me continue with what we'll have available on Ovis Sock. So for Ovis, we have a couple of solids, just a wide array, because I thought for me, I always enjoy to knit socks when I'm on holiday, like I don't know. Last year, I think it was the year before, I even had a little knit along with my friend Eva of the Blue Rabbit House, and we made a pair together, and it was kind of really sweet. And I don't know, I never managed like a real cast on the Christmas Eve, because usually in our family it's the tradition that my dad and I take care of the Christmas dinner, and we always like to have like a big feast and have a lot of courses and different things, because I like to cook and my dad loves to cook, and I usually start preparing the day before because I bake fresh sourdough bread for us and for the meal, and fresh sourdough brioche, and then my dad and I meet up on the Christmas morning, because apparently my partner's birthday is also on Christmas Eve, because for us Christmas Eve is the 24th and it's the main celebration. So in northern Germany, it's traditionally you celebrate on the 24th, and then the 25th and 26th are the days where you visit your families and celebrate with them as well. So on the 24th is the birthday of my partner, and usually he's with his family then, and so he drives me around in the morning for Christmas morning, and then he has his birthday breakfast with his family, and I start cooking with my dad. Long story short, Dad and I start cooking very early in the morning, and it usually takes quite a while until we're done, and then all the getting ready and festivities already start. So there kind of isn't really a lot of downtime for me on Christmas Eve to actually cast on. So I usually do it either on one of the days after, or if we're really busy with family, it's gonna be like somewhere in between the Christmas holidays and the change of years. But yeah, some kind of holiday cast on is something I really enjoy, and I usually like something really mindless and portable that I can also take to my relatives' places. And therefore I always go for socks. So long story short, let me share with you that we'll have a lot of colorways on Ovis Sock. As mentioned in the beginning, Ovis Sock is a blend of Cheviot and Jacobs sheep fibers, spun to a slightly higher twist at 375 meters per 100 grams, so it's really durable for socks despite not having any nylon in it. And yeah, let me think of what we want to share first. There are a lot of colorways, so let me start with the restocks first. Also on Ovis Sock we will have auburn again, because it was really popular last time and you seem to have really loved it, so I tried to recreate it. And as I always say in my videos, natural dyes are difficult to tame, so it's never the same outcome. Despite using the same techniques and dye stuffs, but yeah, it always is a bit different, but I kind of think it's similar. So this is auburn. Then next up we'll have maroon, and maroon is a little bit lighter this time. As said, it's always different, but I think it's very pretty. Very reddish brown. Here it is next to Auburn, so you can have an idea. Next up, we'll have a colorway that is a new one, and this one is called Truffle, and it's a deep saturated, beautiful brown. Has a slight variegation in it as well. Whoops, there's a little. I've been cutting linen ties for sock sets, and the fuzz is pretty much everywhere. But yeah, this is Truffle. Next up, we'll have another new colorway, and this one is called Pumpkin Spice. It looks slightly more saturated on camera. It almost looks like maple leaf, but I would say it's a bit more, slightly more muted in real life. Maybe this shows it better. I don't know. But this is Pumpkin Spice, and I think it just looks like pumpkin spiced everything, which I actually seem to have. It has grown on me. I used to not really like pumpkin spice things at all, because it also doesn't have a really big tradition here where I come from. So, but it's growing on me. It's growing on me. Another new colorway that we'll have is also the peony colorway on ovis sock, and this is again like on the BFM masham, a muted dusty pink, which I really enjoy. So peony. Then we'll have a restock of a colorway that I think we had upon launch of this yarn base a couple of months ago, and this one is Heather, and it's something like a light blushy pink lavender shade. This batch also turned out slightly more coolish in undertone, and I think it's really pretty. Reminds me of the heather meadows that I saw when we were on vacation in Denmark earlier this year. So this is Heather. Next up, we will also restock, or not restock, we will also have the kind of festive colorway poinsettia on ovis sock. In case you're up for a really like a traditionally Christmassy color pair of socks. It's really punchy on camera. It's slightly more muted in real life. I hope that picks up at some point. But yeah, poinsettia is a restock as well. Next up, we'll have another new colorway, and this one is called patina, because it reminds me of aging wood, kind of. It's a murky brown with some greenish and yellowish bits throughout. So this one is called patina. And next up, we'll have some specials on ovis sock, because not only did we dye just a couple of solids, but we also have some multicolors. And I'm really happy about this one, especially because you seem to have really loved it in the October collection. So I really tried to redo it, and especially with the multicolors, it's almost impossible to redo them, because from batch to batch, the application of the colorways in combination with the untamability of natural dyes, it's super tricky to recreate them. But I think I've got it pretty close. So this one is Sweater Weather, and it's a multicolored, very warm, kind of autumn leaves colorway that, as said, you seem to have really loved last time. It has a lot of rusty browns, yellows, golds, and all kinds of shades that remind me of autumn and winter, pretty much. So yeah, Sweater Weather is coming back. Of course, it's always a bit different. But yeah, this is about it with the natural dyes. Next up, we'll have Fairy Lights, and this one is another multicolor with a lot of earthy shades. but this time dyed on a gray base. And I think it's really interesting to see how things turn out on a slightly moodier, darker base. So here we are with the two shades. So Sweater Weather and Fairy Lights. Next up, we'll also have a couple of sock sets, because last time you loved them when I launched them alongside the October sock box with the Shortcut to Mushrooms pattern by Anna Sjösvad, whom I'm happy to call my friend. And I did double sock sets again, which means you have 100 gram skein and two 20 gram skeins. So you can potentially make a pair of socks with like a solid sock and then some color work in the cuff. So you get 140 grams total in these sets, and they are all inspired by the festive season this time. So without further ado, let me show them to you. This one is gingerbread, and it's a pretty traditional Christmas colors, if you will, set with a warm brown main skein, a really deep red mini, and a slightly, how do you say, golden greenish mini as well. So this one is gingerbread. Next up, we'll have one that's not as classic Christmassy in the shades. It has like a terracotta main skein and then a green mini and a white mini. And this one is called Elf. So this one is the Elf set. And last but not least, we'll have this one, which is another not so traditional one, colorways with a light purpley pinkish main skein, a minty mini, and a deep dark brown auburn mini. And this one is called Fruitcake because it kind of reminds me as if there were raisins in the batter. So this is Fruitcake. And let me try to hold them all up together. So these are the slightly festive mini skein sets. Oh, sorry, sock sets, not mini skein sets, but double sock sets, each with two mini skeins. And I love them. I'm having a hard time not keeping one for myself. They all have these little linen ties that we put on there by hand to put them together, and they're gonna have a label, of course, in the end. And I always love to make them. I don't know, they feel like little presents to me. So far about the sock sets, and yeah. Last but not least, if you've seen the preview of our festive winter boxes, which I will link somewhere again, you saw that Wei Chen of the Petite Knitter designed the Bearberry socks in our ovis sock base. And since it's really popular and you've been requesting it quite a bit, I've decided to make the kits for these socks available, or let's say not kits, but the color combo available for this update as well. And so we're going to have the Bearberry kits available as well, without the boxes this time. So, and this is plenty for whether you want to knit them mismatched like Wei Chen does, or both in the same color combination, like with main and contrasting color. This is enough for either version. So this is the Bearberry sock kit. And Bearberry is actually a plant that's native to where Wei Chen lives, so that's why we decided to call it that way. So this is the Bearberry kit. And this is it about ovis sock. We have a lot of sock yarn in this update, mainly because I was biased with what I prefer for my holiday cast-ons, but I hope you'll enjoy anyways. And I will definitely have something not so sock heavy for the last part of this preview, and I'm gonna share that with you now. So one thing I don't really do very often is proper yarn kits for patterns that are designed in my yarns, because often it's, limiting, I feel, to the customer to, have one color or have me curate a color palette for some kits. And also it's technically kind of a nightmare because I only work with size inclusively designing designers, and to be honest, making sure that there will be enough yarn for every size and, setting it up in the shop without making mistakes, I would, I don't really dare, because I'm always so afraid I make a mistake and then you have too little yarn or anything. It's like, ugh, I don't like to take the responsibility for that. So I'm sorry. Let me know what your thoughts are on this. I'm, always a bit on the fence on what I think about kits, but I usually don't do them because I'm too chicken to actually take responsibility. And it's a bit, I also never know how many of you really like to knit the patterns in the exact same colorway that they were designed in, or if you like a little bit more freedom. Let me see if I can... If you prefer a little bit more freedom in the color choices. And technically, if you know how much meterage there is, it's not necessarily a big benefit of a kit for me. I don't know. It might be just me. But I made an exception this time, because I was talking to Tanya of the Wool Barrow, who's actually one of my all-time favorite designers. And she sent me a picture of a swatch earlier this year. And I knew I was in love immediately. And she, without further ado, let me just show you. She designed the Rowan shawl in our unspun yarn Thrive. And I have not fully finished it, if I'm honest. I'm one of the test knitters, and I'm a really bad test knitter, but I'm gonna do my best to finish for the deadline. But this is the Rowan shawl, and it is inspired by Rowan berries, which you can see here, and I really like it. And it has this beautiful border that I'm still in need to finish. But it's beautiful, and it's, as you can probably tell from me struggling to hold it up, it's huge, and it's just the warmest, wooliest blanket. I am already in love, and I can't wait to wear this around the studio in like the colder months whenever I'm doing admin, wrapping myself into it. It would be lovely. And because I love this pattern so much, I decided to ask Tanya if she's up for a little kit idea. So I had another thing that I wanted to add. I don't know, sometimes it works this way with my brain, that inspiration just strikes. So I was thinking of making kits for this, where you can have the full amount you need for this shawl, because for the full size you will need about 5 plates, 4.5 to 5 plates of our unspun yarn Thrive in Barley, which is the colorway. Because it's a really big shawl. And I thought, why not make this like a little presenty and wrap them up beautifully in like brown paper bags. Some of you might know them from my mill end bags, where I pack them. You will have all the yarn in like a beautiful brown paper bag, tied together with some strings, so it looks a bit like a present. And you will also get it at a slightly discounted price compared to how much it would be to purchase the plates alone. And so, we will have these kits available with the November collection. And it's not only the yarn that will be in there and just wrapped beautifully. I also had this inspiration, and I have to tell you, I don't know, I had this immediately, that when I saw the pattern, I thought we would need something that would resemble the rowan berries as well to have within the kit. And so I made stitch markers to go with the kit. And you can see there are just regular stitch markers that are a close ring, because you will need 2 of those to knit the pattern. Sorry for my stained hands, by the way. Natural dyeing. But you can use them for the little for the pattern, because you would need the 2 regular markers. And then there is also a progress keeper. I don't know if you can see that because it's so tiny, but there is a progress keeper with 3 parts, so you can mark how much you've knitted. And the story behind these is actually I made them from wooden beads, and these wooden beads are naturally dyed. So I dyed them first, and then I assembled them into these little stitch marker thingies. Wow, now the camera's having some trouble focusing. But yeah, I think they're just so cute, and I wanted them to resemble the rowan berries, and especially with the progress keeper. I don't know if you can see if I hold it this way, but you might be able to see that they're, you know, 3 little berries on the progress keeper, and then the single larger berries for the stitch markers that you would use. And I also tested because I was afraid that the rings might be too small for the needle size, but they work. So I tried them on my own knitting. So, but yeah, naturally dyed wooden beads and some brass colored, how do you say, rings, and a clasp for your progress keeper. So these little ones will be with the rowan shawl kits included. And so I really, really hope, I don't know, this felt so festive to me, and I was so inspired by the pattern to make these markers, and I really, really hope you're gonna love them as much as I do. I can only make limited ones because the dyeing of the beads is pretty labor intensive. To get them this dark of a shade and all that. So I cannot make a lot. And I also have to say that I will put as many kits as I can together, and I will keep a couple of single plates, but we're really down to the last box of this yarn. So once it's gone, and I cannot really tell if we are actually going to have any more Thrive in the shop in the near future. As said, I'm going to go in detail. I'll tell you the backstory of that soon, but we will not have Thrive back in the shop anytime soon, if ever. So this actually is, for now, the last chance to purchase our unspun yarn. I also will link the videos about this batch because I tell the whole backstory, how we made it, where it's sourced from, and all that in a dedicated video. And I also have a video on how to knit with unspun yarn in case you're new to this yarn type. And for the rowan shawl, it's actually quite beginner friendly, I would say, if you're not really familiar with unspun yarn, because it is knit double-stranded. So you hold 2 strands together of Thrive and Barley, and that makes a quite sturdy thread for in case you're not really experienced with this type of yarn. So yeah, the rowan shawl kits will include the right amount of yarn to make the shawl. It will be wrapped beautifully, and it will also contain the little rowan berry stitch markers. These will be exclusive to the kits, so I won't be able to make any more to sell them individually, so they will only be within the kits. Yeah, but I guess that is everything I wanted to say about it. I guess we're at the last section of this episode, and I'm going to tell you a bit more about the admin stuff. So admin-wise, I only want to briefly cover a couple of things regarding the festive season and shipping. As said, the update will launch on the 24th of November at 8 p.m. CET, and we will start shipping probably on the weekend already, just to make sure that we can get the overseas orders out in time. DHL and the postal service have actually, they always send out like a sheet of paper where they tell the business customers when to deliver in the last parcels before the holidays, to have a guaranteed delivery before the holidays. And that is the 28th of November. So I will do my best to get the overseas orders out as quickly as possible, so we can kind of meet that deadline. So the 28th is only for the overseas. For domestic and European orders, it's of course much later. I think we're, I don't know, somewhere between the 6th and 14th, but I'm going to double check that for sure. And I'm also going to give you a little bit, like with each zone coming closer to the deadline, I will also give a little alert on the top of my web shop. But for this shop update, it should not be a problem to get everything out in time to have it arrive before the holidays. That being said, we never know what happens, and we've had crazy busy seasons before, and I don't know, as soon as I give the parcels out of my hands and they are picked up from my studio, there is nothing I can do about them anymore. And then it's in the hands of the carriers, and I cannot really speed things up, so we never know what happens. So I would never, from my side, say, I guarantee that you'll have your order before Christmas or whatever you might be celebrating. But I'm confident it should be okay. So yeah, if you're up to a little Christmassy or festive present, we can kind of make sure it's gonna be arriving. I'm gonna do my best. As said, this is going to be the last update of the year. The last big one. I'll try to do a couple of video content specials, newsletters, subscriber specials in December, but yeah, with shop updates, we're gonna pause until January. And yeah, I hope you'll find something that you really enjoy. As always, if there is a question, you can always email me at hello@woollentwine.com. I'm going to be quite busy at this exact weekend because I'm going to be at Barcelona Knits, but I'll get back to you as soon as I'm back, and I should be back on Monday. So there's still plenty of time to organize things before the update goes live on Friday. So yeah, I guess that is it for today. I hope you enjoyed this little preview of what we'll have, and that you'll enjoy diving into the festive season soon. People are building up the Christmas markets here already, so things are gonna smell like mulled wine and a lot of nasty Christmas market food in a very short time, and I can't wait to take things a little slower in December and focus on my knitting, focus on a couple of projects that I wanted to work on, without constantly, feeling the pressure of rush. And I can't wait to maybe have a little cast on with you folks over the holidays. And you will definitely hear from me before it's going to be the holidays. But for now, this is the last update, and I hope you'll enjoy it just as much as I did making it. Until then, happy knitting, and bye-bye.